It pains me surely seeing Honorable Attorney General making a fool of this house, and with due respect.
But the Honorable Attorney General said he doesn't understand you. For him to understand you, I have to deliver answer to him.
No, you see, that's the foolery that I'm talking about. Mr. Speaker, sir, it depends on the gravity of the matter. You're talking about life and death. And Mr. Speaker, sir, when he went to the clerk to Parliament, he was served with a copy of the Hansard. And he called me out of the chambers. Mr. Speaker, sir, respectfully, I went to the Attorney General. We sat just on the seat, and he had a paper copy. And it shocks me to my bone seeing the Attorney General come in here and not addressing the matter. Mr. Speaker, sir, some of us have been caught. We know what Dr. Besigye is gone through. I was seated next to his sister, Dr. Olive Kabusinje. The lady cried all through the court session. That's the matter we're talking about, Mr. Dag. Be kind to the family. Dr. Besigye may not be a relative, but be kind to his son, his wife, his sisters and brothers, and the entire country, especially some of us that believe in him. Now, sir, this cannot be just a joking matter. You come here, just pass time, as if we are here to serve at your pleasure. We are not entertainers, Mr. Dak. We're not. And Mr. Speaker, the seat ground, please let him commit, and it should not be beyond tomorrow. We've been waiting for that report. You have the answer. You have no excuses. This is not a house for excuses. Enough is enough. We want to see that report tomorrow, Mr. Dag, with the due respect. And in conclusion, I make this conclusion that surely from today moving forward, I made this conclusion, and I want to put it before you, Mr. Attorney General, that being a deputy Attorney General does not change who you were, it reveals who you were. And I want to ask you to please, for 1 minute, have a human heart. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Honorable Kori, I don't know why we've gone personal. Oh, no. Huh? I don't know why we've gone personal. I think we were moving very well, but now the challenge I'm getting, Honorable colleagues, is we stand up on point of procedure, then we start submitting substantively on items that we have here. Why don't we receive the report of the Human Rights Committee? I open up Honorable numbers. You people, you debate.
But we need that commitment, Mr. Speaker, that report that he was supposed to address himself or pay attention to tomorrow without fail. Mr. Speaker, sorry, that's my request. This is from family, this is from the global community, and this is from our fellow citizens. We can't allow to just sit in this house looking at the front seat, making this institution that you preside over, Mr. Speaker, in a joke. We're not going to allow that, Mr. Speaker. That is your constitutional office. You're a presiding officer. We are not going to allow people like my honorable brother making a joke or a fool of this house. Not on our watch, Mr. Dag. Not on our watch.
Honorable colleagues, I think where we've reached, I'll be directing the clerk. Anyone who picks a microphone without my permission and you submit, that submission shall be expunged from the record of Parliament. Maybe we can have order. Otherwise, people are going to keep grabbing microphones, and then the ones who are behaved will be like, but why are we It's, yeah. Otherwise, anyone who has a microphone in front of them, they can easily grab, express their opinions. But I request we calm down, okay? We sent the committee to Luzira. The committee has brought its report. Never Doug.
Mr. Speaker, I find that to be more or less a person attack, an attack on my person as an individual and character. And I want to request that it should be expunged. If he has anything personal with me, we can handle it outside of Parliament. Thank you.
Now, honorable colleagues, the tone is a little bit different from the language. But I don't know. These days, Honorable Atkins. These days, Honorable Atkins. Maybe we shall have a talk in the office. Let's have a talk. I understand why you're behaving the way you're behaving these days. It's because it has. Sometimes I keep quiet. I see situations, I decide I keep quiet. I leave you talk, and in the end, I keep quiet. But I think we are creating, we are brewing a storm in a teacup. We are listening to each other. There is a report of the committee. I would say, let's go to that report. Today, I'm so lenient. I want to be as lenient as possible. It will be up to you. If it reaches 5, I wanted to adjourn at 5. Okay, I'm seeing the time you're eating. So if you decide to use your time this way, then at a certain time I will adjourn and we've concluded the matter. Yeah. So, Chair of the committee.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to lay on table the following documents. Number 1, a report of the Human Rights Committee. Number 2, a minority report attached to the report of the Human Rights Committee. Number 3, minutes of 2 meetings held in respect of this subject. And number 4, submissions of written submissions of Uganda Human Rights Commission and written submissions of Uganda Prison Services. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, permit me to present a report of the Committee on Human Rights on the visit to Luzira Maximum Security Prison to assess the prison conditions of Colonel, retired Dr.Kizza Besigye, and Haji Obeid Lutale Kamulega. With your indulgence, Right Honorable Speaker, may I skip pages 1, which has introduction. It also has the members of Parliament who visited Luzira. Pages 4, that has the legal framework. Page 5 is still legal framework. Page 6, objectives of the field visit and methodology.
Yes,
and
we
I
can do from 2.0.
From
2.0.
2.0.
On page 6. Objectives, methodology, we need to know how you went and all those.
Right Honorable Speaker, the objectives were, number one, to visit Kano retired Dr. Kizza Besigye and Haji Obeid Lutale Kamulegia to establish their detention conditions. Number two, to assess the human rights conditions of Luzira Maximum Security Prison. The methodology. The committee, Roman 1, conducted a tour of Luzira Maximum Security Prison. 2, held a meeting with the Regional Prisons Commander for Kampala Extra and the officers in charge of Luzira Maximum Security Prison. 3, interacted with Kano retired Dr. Kizza Besigye and Haji Obeid Lutale Kamulegia. 4, held meetings with the Honorable, the Attorney General, the Uganda Prisons, and the Uganda Prisons Service. 5, received written submissions from the Uganda Human Rights Commission. And 6, reviewed the standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. Findings. This section of the report presents the findings of the committee through the aforementioned methodology. 4.1, visit to Luzira Maximum Security Prison to assess the physical conditions of the prison. The committee visited the prison and interacted with the prisoners who raised the following issues. 4.1.1, Dr. Kizza Besigye's personal issues in prison. Kano, retired Dr. Kizza Besigye, informed the committee that he feels safer in Luzira Prison compared to other detention facilities. He commended the prison authorities for their professionalism and for ensuring that inmates' rights are upheld and protected. He also had added that the prison doctors visit him on a daily basis and is allowed to see his personal doctor whenever the need arises. Dr. Kizza Besigye noted that he has access to adequate food with 3 authorized suppliers providing his needs. Similarly, his co-accused Haji Obeid Lutale has 3 authorized suppliers providing his food. They cook their own meals for security reasons. It should be noted that whereas the Uganda Prison Service provides 3 meals a day for other prisoners, Dr. Kizza Besigye informed the committee that he refused to eat the food provided by the prison for fear of being poisoned. He acknowledged significant improvements in the prison conditions over the years. Systems have been computerized and the facility is better maintained than it used to be. He further confirmed that there had been a remarkable improvement between 2016 and the present day, with the prison currently fitted with running water, waterborne toilets, the abolition of the bucket system in Luzira Maximum Security Prison, and a fresh coat of paint had been applied to the walls, which were all commendable developments. Dr. Besigye, however, highlighted some personal concerns. Number 1, he is detained in a highly restricted section, which he described as a prison within a prison, requiring passage through 5 gates to reach his cell. He expressed fear for his safety, particularly as he is held alone in a cell with a toilet, a shower within the northern wing, which accommodates a total of 18 prisoners. Number 2, he shared concerns about unexplained late-night activities in the prison, such as padlocks being opened and closed without anyone entering his cell. He fears being poisoned or harmed in such environment. Roman 3, Dr. Besigye lamented that he is not allowed to interact with fellow inmates and the rules applied to him are more restrictive than those applied to other prisoners. Roman 4, he is not allowed to attend prayers with other inmates in the prayer houses within the prison. Part 5.0 deals with the observations and the recommendations of the committee. Number 1, food for prisoners. The committee observed that the food provided by Uganda Prison Service to the prisoners lacks variety and does not meet the minimum standards of a balanced diet as provided for in the law on account of the limited budgetary provisions. To mitigate this, the Commissioner General informed the committee that Uganda Prison Service allows inmates access to their own non-cooked food supplies from external sources. Committee recommends that government should provide adequate funding to the Uganda Prison Service to exploit the prison farms for purposes of producing food crops for the provision of nutrition to prisoners. Conditions of detention. The committee observed that interventions have been instituted to improve the living conditions of prisoners in Luzira Maximum Security Prison, as confirmed by Colonel retired Dr. Kizza Besigye, who stated that there had been remarkable improvements. The reports of running water, waterborne toilets, the abolition of the bucket system in Luzira Maximum Prison, and the fresh court are commendable. The committee recommends that the bucket system, as far as possible, should be eliminated from all facilities in the country. Government should increase funding to the Uganda Prison Service to facilitate the construction of waterborne facilities in all prisons in the country. Congestion. The committee noted that the rate of occupancy of Luzira Maximum Security Prison exceeds 500% since the facility was designed to hold 600 prisoners but currently holds 3,292 inmates. The committee recommends that government should prioritize setting up new prison facilities or expanding the existing ones to address the issue of congestion. Committee also recommends that government should take practical steps through the judiciary to urgently address the issue of case backlog. Separation and classification. The committee noted that the current incarceration of convicts, the condemned, and prisoners on demand in the same facility results in prisoners on remand who should be presumed innocent until proved guilty being treated as convicts, whereas, as much as possible, their rights should not be severely curtailed to the same extent. The committee recommends that the 3 categories of prisoners should be housed in different prison facilities to ensure that the rights of prisoners on remand are not abused since they are innocent until proved guilty. Prolonged pre-trial detention. The committee observed that pre-trial detention periods in Uganda range from days to decades, with some cases taking as long as 28 years in the judicial system without resolution. It's well elaborated that justice delayed is simply justice denied. Notably, some of these cases are awaiting ministers' orders as they have an element of mental illness. The committee recommends that the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs should take appropriate measures to address impediments to access to justice. Right Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, the committee appreciates the contributions of the Uganda Prison Service, the Honorable, the Attorney General, the Uganda Human Rights Commission, and the members of the committee who turned up in large numbers to attend to this very important function. The committee prays that this report is considered and the recommendations therein adopted. I beg to move. Right Honorable Speaker, as I stated, 4 of our colleagues exercised their rights under Rule 205 of the Rules of Procedure to author a minority report stating 3 areas of dissent. With your permission, may I invite the Honorable Jonathan Odur to present the minority report.
Honorable Jonathan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The first area of dissent is the safety of Dr. Kizza Besigye, known as Uganda Remand 1867 of 2024, fear of being killed in prison. The committee was informed by Dr. Besigye that he is in fear of being killed in prison through poisoning. His biggest fear is that the state, being the complainant in his case, the persecutor, and has the command and control of the Uganda prisons, puts him in danger. This fact, the Commissioner General of Prisons confirmed knowledge of the fears of Dr. Besigye and stated that it has put the prisons authorities in a precarious situation, having a prisoner under them who fears being killed by them. The second area of dissent is the opening of the 2 out of the 4 security locks to access Uganda Remand 1867 of 2024, retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, who informed the committee of an incident where deep in the night, to be exact after midnight, 2 of the 4 doors were opened. This scared him into shouting loudly, and the people opening retreated. He sought an explanation, and 3 different versions of events were told to him. The first, that there were some items forgotten within his detention facility. Secondly, he was told that the opening of the doors were because some padlocks had not been locked, so they had returned to lock it. And the third explanation was that it is routine inspection by the prison authorities to come into the night and inspect whether the prisoners are inside. This made him fear that the contradiction was not justified. Point number 3 of dissent is the solitary confinement of Uganda Remand 1867 of 2024. It was the submission of retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye that he was being detained alone and is not allowed to interact with other prisoners, including attending prayers on Sunday with the rest of the prisoners. This is contrary to Section 57C of the Prisons Act 206. The Commissioner General of Prisons informed the committee that the isolation of retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye is first for his own safety, but also because Dr. Kizza Besigye has the capacity to excite the prisoners, which might spiral out of control. The Uganda Human Rights Commission, in its written submission to the committee, noted that solitary confinement, when used excessively under harsh conditions, can be considered a violation of human rights due to its detrimental effects on the mental health and well-being of a person. In fact, Dr. Kizza Besigye complained of being in a difficult mental health situation which cannot be handled by the medical personnel at Luzira Prison. Point of descent number 4 is confiscation of the Christmas greetings to Ugandans. Uganda Remand, 1867, Dr. Kizza Besigye wrote a Christmas greetings and message to Ugandans, and it was confiscated for having 2 words, freedom and justice. There was no plausible justification by the prison authorities for detaining a message, confiscating it, and eventually sentencing that message to death, and the execution of the message was done. Point number 5, which is the last in dissent, is the denial of the advocates, denial of access to advocates to Dr. Kizza Besigye. The committee learned that Council Lukwago areas advocate to retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye was denied access to his client on a critical day when the court-martial was sitting the next day. The lawyers had papers, applications, and affidavits that needed the signature of the accused persons. The Commissioner General informed the committee that he denied the lawyer Lukwago areas access to Dr. Kizza Besigye, since that same day there were members of parliament who were visiting Dr. Besigye, and he could not allow both the lawyer and the MPs to access him. Our recommendations. The minority recommends that Parliament takes keen interest into the fears of retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye of being killed in prison by poison. 2, the minority recommends that the trial of retired Colonel Kizza Besigye and subsequent detention in Luzira Prison be terminated and any trial be held under the civilian authorities. I beg to report, this report is signed by Honorable Nyeko Derek, Honorable Nabagabe Kalule Flavia,